Hello, and welcome to another episode of the continuing saga of Tech Tuesdays, a joint effort with South Florida Tech Hub and the Owwll App. I am one of your lovely and vivacious hosts for today. Thank you, Cindy, for laughing. I am Jeffry Ullman.
Love the word vivacious.
Well, I like that word. You didn't react to lovely. Now that I've completely lost my train of thought, sorry. I'm Jeffry Ullman with South Florida Tech Hub. I am Director of Membership and Partner Engagement. Before we move forward, I have a couple of announcements. We, just to let everyone know, if you haven't heard, the Tech Talent Fest that we were going to have tomorrow at Florida International University, we've going to reschedule that. Hopefully I'll have a final date by the end of the show. If not, we're working on a final date and we'll announce that. But don't go to FIU tomorrow because we won't be there. However, we are about to announce another annual event from South Florida Tech Hub, our Ignite Startup event. That's going to be Thursday, November 14th. And it's going to be at the Boca Raton Innovation Center where it was last year. So all you startups and VCs, stay tuned. We'll be putting out more information on that. So thank you. If you're watching live, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. If you're watching the replay, thank you for that. We'd encourage you to call in. You're certainly welcome to watch. If you do want to call in, and if you have the Owwll app, call me, Jeffry Ullman, Ullman. If you don't have the Owwll app, you have time to download it. You can download it and set it up and call in. And if you use the referral code Tech Hub, all caps, no spaces, 2 H's, TECHHUB, you'll get $10 to start for your first call. I think that's enough for me. Welcome. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to our other two guest co-hosts to go forward. So I'm going to let ladies first. Cindy, why don't you introduce yourself? Maybe Denis, introduce yourself, and then we'll get started with our guest co-host. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. So excited to be here with you guys. Can't wait to learn more about Jeb. So I'm Cindy Metzler. I have a marketing and PR company called Owwll. Been involved with the South Florida tech community for many, many years, over 20 years. I'm originally from New York. And Denis and I just had a great event, $1 Million Weekend. We wish Jeffrey could have made it, but Tech Hub was part of it, there in spirit for sure. And I'm also co-organizer of TEDx Boca Raton, which I've been doing for almost 10 years. So that's really exciting at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus. Denis, take it away.
Good morning, good evening, and hello, everybody. This is Denis from Media Components. I run a full-service digital marketing agency and really excited to be a co-host of Tech Tuesdays powered by Tech Hub and Owwll. We have an exciting guest with us today, Jeb from Centuric Technologies. He's our business development manager, and we're going to get into his hidden talents today and learn more about him. But as far as that goes, Jeb, can you give us a little introduction about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. And Jeffrey, you are both lovely and vivacious.
Thank you.
That's right.
And I didn't ask him to say that, but thank you.
Didn't have to. So I am the business development manager for Centuric Technologies. We are a fully managed IT services provider, which means sometimes that if you don't have your own IT department at your company, we will be your IT department, and we will handle everything that you would expect an IT department to handle, from cybersecurity to resetting passwords and everything in between. So if you fit into that category, then I'll be a good person to talk to. We also do supplemental support for other companies that maybe have an IT department, but that IT department needs to offload some of its more mundane everyday tasks because it gets in the way. Resetting passwords all day gets in the way of strategic initiatives, and so we will help with those sorts of things. So I am a career technology business development rep, so I've been doing this for a long time. I came down from New Hampshire 12 years ago. I was doing the same thing up there, and I came down here because I think warm is much better than cold. And 5 months of winter and mud is I don't know why I put up with it for so long now, actually, but that's me in a nutshell.
That's what I ask myself every day. Why I moved down here from Philadelphia and why not sooner?
Right.
Because it's a different world here. So since you've been most of your career in IT, managed services, would you say nowadays, as far as cybersecurity, that's the first thing you mentioned, is there more threats right now than compared to like 10 years ago? Are you noticing a lot more vulnerability, or is it just the way the technology is emerging, a lot more hackers out there? In your opinion, in your experience, what would you say as far as the landscape of cybersecurity?
I would say overall, yes, there are more threats out there just because we are better connected to more people across the world. And so, the volume of potential, bad actors that could, potentially access or compromise your network is far greater than it was 10 years ago. But I would also say that there's sort of a balance between the advancement of the bad actors and the advancement of those like us who prevent those bad actions from happening. So and AI is something that's really interesting and a great way to sort of illustrate this point. AI has opened vast new doors for bad actors to much more easily attack more and more people. Basically, you can set up the AI to do it for you. But at the same time, AI has given us more tools to combat those actions. So overall, yes, just because we're so well connected now to everyone across the world, I would say yes. But in general, we're, those of us who provide defense against those types of things, we are keeping up very well with them.
Very, very nice. So it sounds like you mentioned you use AI for like a good cop and a bad cop. The bad players out there are using AI to, hack the passwords, check the passwords, and your technology with AI, you utilize it to protect the networks, protect the clients, correct?
Yeah, the best way to counteract AI productivity is with AI productivity, right? A well-trained artificial intelligence can do so much more than just a human can, obviously, and instantly, right? And so the same is true on the other side. So yes, I would say we. And I am not the engineer, right, at my company. So I want that to be very clear. I am not the really smart technical computer
you're being too hard on yourself.
What I want to do is give lots of credit to my team and my CIO, who is a lifelong computer engineer. He's technically a computer scientist, and he's been the CIO for major corporations, and he's a genius when it comes to these things. So I rely on him to fill in the technical aspects and make sure that all of my customers are protected. But yeah, AI is the hot button right now. It can do so many things for us, but you have to make sure that you are incorporating it in a safe manner. And there are best practices and things that you can do to make sure that you're implementing those new AI tools in a safe way for your company. And again, I'm not going to get into what those are exactly right now, but Centuric can help you with that if you need help with it.
Speaking of Centuric, by the way, your voice is perfect for podcasting. You need to be on podcast radio.
I'm available. Anyone out there doing a podcast?
Voiceovers.
Let me
I see
know.
a career in voiceovers.
Exactly. Side hustle. So I always like to get examples of like some of the customers you work with and what you do for them, so people can sort of get their arms around it, because I know that technology obviously is a really broad term. So if there's anybody who needs your services, at least you can maybe give them an example of what types of things.
Yes, and thank you for asking. So most of the work that we do is remote, and what that work is we are implementing cybersecurity action plans and policies for our customers. Not only that, but we actually put applications on each customer device that we manage that keeps track automatically of everything that's going on with that device. It could be this device has, downloaded something questionable and we need to check it. We'll get an alert. or it could be this device is running out of memory, or it needs a patch, or it needs to be replaced. So we're constantly monitoring all of our customers' devices, including their network devices and their personal devices. But in a nutshell, again, what we're doing is basically being your IT department. So because we can be remote, we do have customers all over the country in Latin America and a couple in Europe. But most of our customers are here in South Florida simply because we are here and this is where we meet people and this is where we talk to people, but they don't have to be here. So getting the long way around to get to the answer to your question here is most of our customers are here in Broward, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade County. And many of them are nonprofits with fewer than 500 employees. And that is a really good fit for us because in that space, those customers need robust enterprise cybersecurity solutions. I mean, they can't get hacked either. Some of them manage a lot of money, and there's a lot of reasons, obviously. So they need those sort of enterprise quality cybersecurity, but without the cost and hassle of recruiting and providing benefits to and maintaining a full IT staff themselves. So we are that full IT staff. It will be less expensive and more consistent than recruiting and hiring your own internal staff. And so that's what we do. Really large companies, they probably do have their own internal IT staff. And so for them, those services might not be as good a fit, but then we do, as I said earlier, some supplemental things for them where we can take some of their tasks off their plate. But our bread and butter is going to be those small to medium-sized companies that need enterprise level IT support, but it makes more sense to outsource it than to hire internally.
Very cool. And the other thing I just want to mention is the remote aspect of it is so cool because when you open the computer and someone's on there, you're actually working from wherever. And it's amazing because I don't know if everybody knows that everything can be done.
It can. And some people are concerned by that as well. So I'll just touch on that real quick because yes, basically by virtue of what I just said we are doing, you are giving us access to your computer. We do not ever log into someone's computer without them knowing, without them being there with us. But as you said, we can log right in and see what you're seeing on your computer, and we can walk you through downloading a file you're having a problem with, or resetting a password or that kind of thing. And all of those are things that our help desk team is standing by to do. And you can call us. A lot of companies that do what we do are ticket based. You send an email, you wait for a reply. If you need something from us, you call and our guys pick up right away.
So when it comes to like your perfect fit, I know you mentioned nonprofits and small businesses that need enterprise level IT support. But what if it's like a small business with maybe 1 or 2 to 5 computer workstations? Is that a good fit for you, or is that not enough to work with?
No, it's really up to them. I mean, our services obviously do cost money, and so the thing that usually comes up when we have a number like that, 1 to 5 users, is that they don't have the budget for it,
Mhm.
right? And sometimes that's okay because if you are running a company with just yourself and one other person, and you're both using your laptops, from home, basically, you're using your Comcast internet, your
Mhm.
Comcast firewall, you don't have servers, you don't have sensitive data, it might not be worth it to you to, spend $500 a month or whatever to get someone to do your IT support. So I absolutely would not say no to those people. But they might not be, interested in the funding of it, right?
Right.
But certainly we do actually have organizations that have as few as 5 people in them.
And you
So-
probably do like an audit to qualify them, right? They might
Absolutely.
have one station, but if it's a lot of security and information, they need to have an IT support that overlooks it every day.
Absolutely. And you'll get me first. So if you're one of those people who wants an assessment,
Mm-hmm.
I will absolutely have a conversation with you at no charge. And then, if we get to a next step, then I would bring in my engineers and they would do a deep dive. And then we would, decide if that's a good fit.
So on that very point, that was going to be my next question. So multi-part question. I think you can handle it. South Florida
Need to
Tech
write them
Hub.
down.
No, South Florida Tech Hub is a nonprofit, and I want to just elaborate. I think a lot of nonprofits think they're immune or think it doesn't apply to them. But you make a very good point. A lot of nonprofits manage a lot of donors' money, and you really have a fiduciary responsibility to safely manage that money. So I just think a lot of nonprofits think this doesn't apply to them, and it definitely does. So I think that's great that you focus on that vertical, so to speak. But assuming there's a nonprofit or a for-profit company that wants to follow up with you, why don't you? We said who you were. Why don't you go ahead and spell your name, and also spell the URL where someone can follow up with you. And since you're going to be on the Owwll app, this is the multi-part question. Spell your name, spell your website, and then let people know what hours you're going to have, what hours you're going to be available on the Owwll app.
Okay. I'm going to start at the end, and then you might have to remind me
Okay,
what happened
no
at
problem.
the beginning there. But my name is Jeb Reynolds. I believe I'm JebReynolds. You can find me on the Owwll app. There you go. I'm right behind me. So right now I am available 1 to 5 on weekdays, and I will see what kind of volume I get, and then maybe perhaps tweak that as I go.
That's Eastern Standard Time for those of you around the world.
That's Eastern time.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Eastern Daylight Time at the
All
moment.
right, sorry.
No problem. And so
You're out of here. Get out of here.
right. You don't get to correct the host. It's our website, our company, and you can find me there. I am really hard for some reason to find on LinkedIn.
I know. That's why I want you to spell.
Common name, maybe?
Jebediah. No, not
Oh.
not a common name.
Right.
I think it's because I created a profile when I was much younger, and anyway. So our company is
Shadow band.
Centuric, which is CENTURIC, and then .com. Yeah,
Okay.
if you can see it. So Centuric.com, you can find us there. The phone number will get you to me, and as well as there's a couple buttons on there, action buttons for get a quote or that kind of thing, which goes right to me because I'm the business development manager.
Right. And I forgot to mention, so in addition to the Owwll app, you're available through LinkedIn as well. But if someone wants to call you immediately later today, they can use the Owwll app.
They can, absolutely. They can call the Owwll app. I believe I am active right now.
Yeah.
I probably, or maybe at noon, I think, or
Don't
I don't know. You can call me. I'll be there. I'll pick up.
Actually, if you want to call during the show, it's probably better to call me because we're set up for my profile. But once the show's over, please do feel free to call Jeb as well.
Now, the beginning of what you said was about non-for-profits and,
Yes.
and holding
Yes.
money and that kind of thing. And because we are a large number of our core customers are not-for-profits here in South Florida, and ones that you would recognize. We also are experts in compliance. So we have a complete compliance management program as well. So it helps tremendously with those companies that are, especially if they are managing money or sensitive data, to make sure that they stay within compliance and that they meet all the qualifications that they will need for when they get audited, because they are going to get audited, right? So we do all of that as well. So it's a really comprehensive package. But I want to just point out real quick before we go on to the next question that
Sure.
In addition to not-for-profits, we also work with a lot of manufacturers here in South Florida. Okay. And we work with a lot of healthcare companies. Specifically, I'm a specialist in senior living facilities as well. So those are, now we can help anyone, but those are where most of our customers buy.
I'm glad, and Jeb and I talked about this previously. I'm glad you mentioned manufacturing related companies, because South Florida Tech Hub and Centuric are active in an organization called South Florida Manufacturers Association, SFMA. That supports, as the name implies, manufacturers in South Florida. Great organization. And I think people often don't realize how many and what things are actually physically manufactured in South Florida. And that's an important part of our community.
More than you think.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I want to mention them.
They're going to give me a discount on my membership next year for plugging them here. sfma.org.
There you go. Another great nonprofit that both South Florida Tech Hub and Centuric are active in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Since you mentioned healthcare, we do quite a bit of senior lead generation, for home cares and senior facilities type of clients. HIPAA compliance, that's really important when it comes to healthcare. So aside from that, what specific products or protocols do you guys follow to keep it HIPAA compliant? If you-
That again is going to be something I would defer to my CTO to answer in specific detail, but I can tell you we do have a platform provided by Kaseya. You've probably heard of the Kaseya.
Another South Florida-based company,
The arena, yeah, right, right.
and
So,
have naming rights for the
yeah,
arena.
yeah, yep. So the Heat play there,
Mhm.
and that is specifically for compliance, and it
Mhm.
is extremely robust. And I've seen it in action, and it's a lot of work to set up because it's very very detailed. But then that basically provides an ongoing real time assessment of how compliant you are in a very long list of metrics. So that would be the short answer. For the long answer, we'll need
That's a
we'll
good
need my
answer.
boss Frank.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Before I forget, back to the South Florida Manufacturers Association. I don't know if I told you this, but we have them scheduled as a guest in about 2 weeks as well.
Oh,
I know you know Fernando Mendoza. If you're out there, hello. He's going to be our guest co-host.
yes, he was a panelist for us. Actually, we do panels. I think I mentioned that earlier. Advising non-for-profits, and in this case, it was advising manufacturers on cybersecurity. There's side note. There's a very big change to the compliance requirements coming to the manufacturers industry, especially if they want to do business with the government. So that was kind of the focus of that. And Fernando stepped in for us almost kind of at the last minute and was just excellent. I mean, he must do it all the time, or he's just a natural, but he was just really, really great on that panel and provided some great insights. So shout out to Fernando.
Tell us more about the panels. Like if people want to learn about the panels, when they can see them, how they can get involved.
Absolutely. Well, so I'm in the process of getting the links to the past ones on our website. And so, again, Centuric.com, they will be available. For the meantime, you'll have to reach out to me. The next one is not yet scheduled. So feel free to reach out to me. Please find me on LinkedIn. If you might not find me by searching for Jeb Reynolds, but you will find me by going through either Denis's or Jeffrey's profile. I'm connected with both of them, soon to be connected with you. So you'll find me that way, much easier than trying to search for my name. Or Centuric, also that's pretty easy, I guess. Go to Centuric's profile and you'll find me there. And just connect with me and just ask me, and I'll let you know when the next one is, which I am in the process of choosing a date for, but it will probably be in January.
Cool. I love that.
Well, I'm a big Monty Python fan. I don't know, you youngsters out there might not know who they are, but I do. And in the beginning of their TV show, the way they would announce the show is, and now for something completely different. So we're going to switch gears. And I will say this is breaking news. This is the first time we've talked because we haven't had a guest co-host that could talk about this. But Jeb is also a musician in the IT industry, which is not an oxymoron. So, Jeb, tell us a little about how that started, what you're doing specific to music, and the event you have coming up.
It's surprising how many people in tech are musicians, which leads me to the event. And so I'll start there. So it so happens that I've been a musician for a long time, since I was a teenager. And
I did ask Jeb to play live, but he's declined for union rules.
He's going to do a song. He'll sing for us.
Yeah. I'll do some acapella. I don't have a
Okay.
guitar with me. Next time for sure.
Okay,
We'll take it.
we'll come back. We need to have a live music version of Tech Tuesdays.
We'll have a nice sound bite.
But you can hear it on December 5th at
Okay.
Marquee Studio. Again, reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want more information, and especially if you're a musician. But we are starting a new kind of networking event. It is a cross between an open mic and a networking event. So, musicians for sure. We want to get musicians who want to show up. And the plan is, send me in advance a couple of songs you want to play. my band and I will learn them, or you can play with your own band if you have a band. So, whatever you like, play with us, play by yourself, play with your band. That's on December 5th in Deerfield Beach at Marquee Studios at 5:30 p.m. So again, please reach out to me if you want more information on that. I have been a musician since I was a teenager. As I said, I am very passionate about music. I grew up in an age before the internet, and in an area.
You can't be that old.
In an area. Oh, I am definitely that old. And in an area where there was no cable TV. So I did not have MTV or anything else. I had 3 channels, and we had to turn.
And UHF,
and
if you were lucky.
if sometimes channel 38 on UHF would come in.
Sorry.
Mostly I had ABC, NBC, and CBS, and we
I
had
had that growing up too.
we had to turn the antenna to be able to get the football games to come in on Sunday. It was a rustic and non-technological beginning. So anyway, the point of all that is that I grew up listening to my parents' music. I was not around a lot of other kids. I didn't have exposure to MTV or cable TV. And so I am a big classic rock buff. So I started playing music. I got to college, and my college roommate, who was also my fraternity brother, also was just learning how to play guitar. And so he was a little behind me, but I taught him a couple things, and we just started playing together, and it took off from there. And he got really, really good. He was a natural talent. We found some more people, and we started a band. And we had a lot of fun. We didn't go on tour or anything. We didn't have any videos on TV, but we had a lot of fun. And then I've been in a lot of bands since then. When I first got to Florida, I didn't really lean into, mixing that with my professional life. I sort of kept them separate. I'm a musician by night. I'm a biz dev guy by day. But over the last few years, I have brought them together much more, and it has opened many new doors for me. And I'm very glad that I did, because people are really interested in it, and people always want to talk about the music, and I could talk about it all day. So please do. And that's why I started this event that's happening on December 5th at 5:30 p.m. at Marquee Studios.
Will you eventually have an Eventbrite page for that, or how do people register? Or should they just reach out?
They should reach out to me right now. Yes, I am going to create a registration page. It is not done yet, because this is
breaking news.
Coming together.
Before it's live, breaking news
in real time.
We're gonna have a waiting list now.
I hope so. The more the merrier.
On one of the previous Tech Tuesdays, I apologize, I don't remember your name. I think it was a musician that called in. So if you're listening, call in again, because you can talk to a real live musician as well. But we do have a lot of people on a lot of members in Owwll that are artists in general, not necessarily music, but there is a large artistic community on Owwll as well.
Well, good then. I should fit right in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a parent, I have 2 teenagers, and my kids were.
You can't be old enough for that either.
You're so sweet.
I
You're
know.
lovely and vivacious.
There you go. There you go.
So anyway, I think music is so important for kids, for everyone, really. I mean, it can move your soul. It can help your mind. When my kids were little, I had them involved in kinder music. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but and then a lot of different things. And then my daughter actually took drum lessons at School of Rock. And my son was on bass, and both of my kids took cello, and they still do it a little bit. But I feel like for so many reasons, and they actually did an MRI. It's the coolest thing with cello. Like, someone went into an MRI playing cello, and you could see the brain waves change and how cool it affects them. So I just think it's wonderful what you do, and that you have that as a component of your work life. And it's right brain, left brain, right? And Kelly Boyle is someone who comes to mind. I don't know if you know Kelly, but
I'll interrupt you. So I forgot to mention that South Florida Tech Hub has an official band called the Cyberdelics. Jeb, please. I believe you play lead guitar, right?
I play the guitar, yeah.
Lead guitar.
there you
Kelly
go.
Boyle is the singer.
That's right.
Okay.
And
I'm good friends with Kelly Boyle.
And hello, Kelly, if you're out there.
So were you at IT Palooza last year?
I was in the band.
Okay, so that's where I saw you
Yes.
before.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, I'm kind of famous. Yeah.
you are.
So yeah,
Almost famous.
I played
We're
Tech
not
Hub.
worthy.
I played Tech Palooza the last 2 years. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I knew you were familiar.
Are the Cyberdelics going to make an appearance at your event December 5th?
The Cyberdelics will be the house band.
All right.
Yes. So essentially, again, the way that it works is if you're a musician and you have a band, you can bring your own band. If you don't have a band, you don't have to play with us. But if you want, we'll learn the songs you want to play in advance, and then we'll play them with you. So yes, we will be the house band, and we'll play some of our own stuff as well. So if you want to check us out and see what all this hype is about, you can show up there. You don't have to be a musician. Just come and hang out and listen.
So I'll put a plug in for Kelly. I think she has a day job as well, but she's an amazing singer.
She's incredible. She's an amazing everything.
Well, that's
Everything
true.
Kelly does.
That's true.
She does events and hosts things and involved.
And she's actually
many
in
years
multiple. She has multiple musical things going on as well. So she's
and Salvatore.
Yeah, Sal. Sal. Yeah.
I'll put in a plug. I think Kelly has written original music as well, correct?
Yes, and I've seen some of it, and it's great. They made a video, she and Sal, and I don't know all the details, but I've seen their video and heard their song, and it's very high production value. You would think it was, and it is, a professional production. So check out Kelly Boyle.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kelly's. I've known her for many years. So Nikki told me that next year is SFTA's 30th, which is South Florida Tech Hub, 30th anniversary. And I realized that I've been involved for 25 years since I moved to Florida.
You can't be that old.
Yeah. And so I know Kelly from back in the day. I think she was involved maybe 20 years ago. So
right. So Kelly is also very active in South Florida Tech Hub. And actually that leads me to a question that I usually forget to ask. So Jeb, you've been very active in South Florida Tech Hub. Let's move back, I guess, to that kind of topic. Tell us why you've been involved in Tech Hub and what it's meant to you and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I started going to Tech Hub events when it was Palm Beach Tech before the merger.
You are that old.
This was 2019, I believe. And they had an event in downtown West Palm Beach, which is near where I live. And so I went, and I was looking at the time for networking events. I wanted to meet more people, obviously, and especially being a business development rep for technology companies, I'm looking to meet other people in the technology industry, obviously. Right. So I wasn't really aware of Palm Beach Tech before that. And then once I went, I was like, oh, this is great, and I got involved. And then very soon after that, Nikki became the CEO, and SFTA and Palm Beach Tech merged. And then they started this ambassador program. So I was one of the, and am still, I was one of the initial ambassadors, and am still proud to be an ambassador. And those same reasons that got me into it in the first place are the reasons that keep me going. We have...
Chala.
Well, I guess
we'll pick back up.
All right.
Hello, Chala.
Hello.
How are you?
Wonderful. I've been watching you on LinkedIn, so I just have to get on this music conversation.
Okay.
So I don't play any instruments.
Yes.
But I do have
Chala, let me interrupt you. Can you maybe get closer? You're not coming through that well. Or speak a little louder.
There, that's much better.
Absolutely. Beautiful. So we don't play any instruments. Well, my son plays the saxophone, but music played a big part in our lives because I started taking them to live music events when they were 5 and 8. And their appreciation for music, for culture, for food is truly, truly beyond what I was anticipating. So I think music, whether you played an instrument or simply go to support, is a phenomenal way to really introduce anybody. But I think if we start early, it really helps those kids brighten their horizons, and they learn so much. So that's just a little bit of background. But how the gentleman talking about, so how has the conversations changed since your business conversations changed since you started talking about music? Could you give us a couple of examples?
Sure. Well, it's opened the door to new connections for me. Some people in the tech community who I didn't even really know before. All of a sudden now, a couple of years later, I'm very good friends with them. But it's the thing I would say on a day-to-day basis that it has made the most difference in is if you are like me and Dennis and going to a lot of networking events where you don't necessarily know a lot of people, and I expect you are as well. You don't necessarily know everybody there. It's something that you say about yourself and it starts a conversation, and it's a conversation that I love to have. I mean, what's better than having a conversation with a stranger about something that you love to talk about, right? So for me, it's music or fishing or Centuric. I can talk about those three things.
Is that FISH or PH?
Oh yeah,
Fishing.
yeah.
We'll come back to
I'm
that.
on
Sorry.
the other side of the table.
I'm
the
sorry, I
PH.
couldn't resist.
Yeah. But no, I love to fish. But so I think it's just been I've sort of opened. I guess I put up previously walls sort of around the things that I would talk about myself. And now I've opened those up, and it's made the conversations and the connections that I'm able to make deeper.
So I love that. So have you also on LinkedIn, do you talk about your music, or is it just in your in-person networking events?
I do a little bit. Occasionally I post a clip of myself playing at a what I call a gig, a performance. Usually I do not. I'm certainly for this event or for the any Cyberdelics event. Absolutely, I'll be posting those things on LinkedIn. In order to see where my band is playing, this month, you'll have to go somewhere else. And again, if you're interested in that, you can ask me and I'll let you know. But no, I tend to talk more about the events that I'm going to, things like this, Tech Hub events,
Okay.
on LinkedIn.
Gotcha. Just curious, because I think that could be a really and one of the things that I do aside from music, like you said, is baking. Right. I teach financial literacy, and I compare it to baking. So some folks have encouraged me to use more of the baking because it comes quite naturally to talk about and use that as LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think that is exactly, the revelation that and again, I don't, just because I don't really use LinkedIn for music posts, I absolutely agree with you. Yes, lean into your personal, what you are into and what's fun for you, because that's going to be contagious and people are going to pick up on that and they're going to, reflect that energy back to you. So absolutely, if you are passionate about something and you're good at it, that's what you should be talking about if you're trying to make, connections. So also if you want to set up a time for me to come play some music for you and you to bake me some cookies, I'm down for that as well.
We
That
got
seems
a
fair.
nice joint
Sounds
venture.
like a win-win.
Yeah, a little barter deal. So Chella, yeah, thanks for calling in. Can you tell us, a little bit about yourself aside from financial literacy? What else do you do in your business?
Pretty much all that I do is around money. So I do live in California. So we do have there's a little flight involved, a little timing that we need to work out. Two, you don't even know what I bake.
We'll take
I
it,
think
whatever it is, Chella. Who's gonna turn away baked
desserts,
goods?
or is it bread, or is it everything? A little bit of.
It's everything. I can say that when I was married, I made baked goods. So I baked 1,200 cookies one Christmas
Wow.
to give away to my husband's clients. So I made little goodie bags, but they were all homemade. So 1,200 cookies. So I don't do that anymore. But I am known for scones.
Oh my
Scones are
goodness,
my
my mother
go-to.
loves scones.
Raspberry scones all day.
delish,
Did I hear you're gonna
delish.
send us a couple samples to the studio? Here's the address.
Let's talk about that. So it's you never know where the idea. So I I have a vegan, gluten-free, no white sugar scone that is absolutely delicious.
Wow. That's $1 million idea right there.
I think so too, Cindy.
I'll get
agree,
behind that.
but I am known for my chocolate chip coconut scones.
Oh, that
Fancy.
That sounds good.
Incredible.
Also coconut pineapple scones. So yeah, I created different flavors to take advantage of the sweetness from the sugar, so that way I'm not adding white sugars into them. But what I do is I definitely love baking, and I guide women entrepreneurs to package and price their services to attract their ideal clients. No offense to the men, nothing against men. I have two sons, but women undercharge, undervalue, and we give too much away.
Cha-ching. True. I
Yeah.
agree. And I think it's such an important topic and an important work that you do, Chella, for sure.
Thank you. And my passion, I mean, that's what I do. That's what keeps the lights on. I've been hosting financial literacy workshops for high school and college students for over 20 years.
Incredible. So important for kids too, because they
Yeah.
don't always get that in school.
Or at home. And that's why the baking is fun, because I bring the baking in. So I've gone into culinary schools where we bake. Baking, it's a baking class, and I bake and then I teach financial literacy.
I'd sign up for that class.
So it's all about, the recipe for success, right?
Ooh,
Exactly.
oh,
There you
that's
go.
good.
So
That's
that,
good.
that you use the right recipe in your baking, and you can have the
A
right
marketer right
recipe
there.
Oh my gosh.
for
Write that
financial-
down. Write that down.
Recipe for success.
Recipe for success. Actually, my program is keys to your destiny. So you're not far off. But we can have all the right ingredients. We can have the right job. We can have all of that. Just because we have all of that, we can have the flour, the sugar, the whatever, the flavors. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to turn out a delicious whatever. Same thing with money, right? It's about how much money and how are you choosing to invest it? How much sugar, how much salt, how much flour, and how much butter are you putting in? So the kids really get it. And of course, the fact that they get to eat these delicious goodies afterwards, it's a plus, right? So because we actually do bake.
I wish my school had thought of that.
My youngest student for baking, not for financial literacy, is 4 years old.
Wow.
And we
what a
did
neat
that over
experience.
Zoom. Yeah, we did that over Zoom, right? Because it's about the experience that you get. It's about when you actually get to experience something, nobody can ever take that away from you.
Great, Chella. Thanks so much for calling in. I know the time.
My pleasure.
Time
Thank
is
you.
I look
running out.
forward to
Nice
connecting.
talking with
Thank
you.
you, Chella.
Thank you.
You made us hungry.
Send some samples.
Lunchtime's coming up.
So I was going to make a random but somewhat relevant connection. We were talking about AI earlier. AI is great. It's a powerful tool. Full disclosure, sometimes I'm sick of seeing all the AI written responses because you miss and you don't get the human response. Sometimes it's kind of clear. So the fact when what you were saying earlier, Jeb, is putting your personal human touch, I think helps other people relate to you both on a personal level and a business level. So I think that's something I wanted to connect, at least in my opinion.
Well, thank you. And that's a one reason why I am a good fit with my current company, because my company's philosophy is the same. Personal touch. It's not just, send us an email and we'll get back to you, that kind of thing. You're going to get to know our staff. You're going to call them, you're going to know them by name, and they're going to help you out right there in real time.
That's so important today too. And it is a differentiator. And I think storytelling is so important for every brand, right? I mean, people want to learn more about you, peel the layers of, the onion away and really find out who you are and what you do, the name of your dog, if you have one. By the
Rufus.
way, you could be part of our family. My husband loves fishing. My son loves music. I was thinking when you talked about your parents and listening to it, my son, when I take him to school in the morning, he loves to listen to classic vinyl on the radio, and he's 15. So I think, and he knows all the music, and I'm
Young
like,
man after
yeah,
my own heart.
yeah, it's so cool. And Kelly too is an old soul, because she also has that classic rock behind her.
Yeah, you got to be, and I've played with Kelly now for years, and not just at Techpalooza, but we've played together, practiced together, jammed together many times. And you got to be a good fit with the other musicians, and that means you have to at least have some compatibilities with what you're listening to and what you've learned to play. And Kelly and I listen to the same stuff. We like the same kind of music. she knows the same songs that I do. So, that's what makes it a good fit.
So just curious, what are some of the classic rock bands that you listen to and you like as a musician versus a listener from a musical standpoint?
What's funny is once you turn a song into a cover. So in other words, once, a song goes from being something that you listen to something that you practice, it takes on a whole different feel. So when I was much younger, when I was really young, and into my teens, I really loved Leonard Skinner, and I still do. And, Sweet Home Alabama was one of my favorite songs, right? Now, I learned how to play that at a very early age, and I've played it at least 2,000 times since. And I don't really feel the same way about the song anymore. So it changes over time is my point. But
as great art should, right?
Right. For listening, generally 90s sort of alternative rock is my wheelhouse. I'm a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan.
You and my husband would get along really
There you
well.
go. Pearl Jam, that kind of stuff. I also lean into the softer ballad stuff like Dave Matthews and Jack Johnson a little bit. We do some of that. I would say my favorite band is probably Guns N' Roses. The
By
Beatles
the way,
as well.
fun fact, I was in a Guns N' Roses video back in the
Oh,
day.
oh my goodness.
Woot,
That was
woot.
you? I knew you looked familiar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Which song
That
was
was
it?
when I was
Which song?
It's-
November Rain,
it's
right? I
on-
saw you.
No, it's called The Garden. It's in the Use Your Illusion.
Yeah, Use Your
album.
Illusion one.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
Is that available on YouTube?
Yes, it is.
gonna look for it.
See if you can see
What-
me. I
what-
won't tell you which person
what's
I am.
What's the name of the song again?
The Garden.
The Garden.
But I
Okay.
got to meet the band. I went
Wow.
backstage. It was really cool. Very,
Wow,
very
I'm jealous of that.
Many
I would
years
love
ago.
I'd love to meet them, especially back then.
cool. Yeah.
So
What
yeah,
year-
Guns N'
Well,
Roses.
I guess I'm going to ask anyway. What year was that, Cindy?
I don't remember.
Remem-
It was in the 90s.
In the 90s. Okay.
Oh, 1994.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Somewhere right there. I think 93, 94.
So Jeb, speaking of fishing, I'm also I love fishing because I grew up. I remember, in Eastern Europe where I'm from, me and my father every weekend used to go like lake fishing. Aside from picking mushrooms and all kind of other activities that people do in Eastern Europe, fishing. He actually like implanted this memory into my mind as a child. We were, put the hooks on the lines and use different weights, and it's a whole science in itself. Here in South Florida, it's a very big fishing world. So since you're a fisherman, where do you like to fish? Do you go deep sea fishing or do you go, lake fishing? What's
This
your
is one
favorite?
of my favorite questions. If I was going to plant a question, it would have been that one.
Hey man,
I
like
we
fishing.
aim to
That's-
please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, a science, absolutely, and a frustrating one. Just like most.
So
of
many
the-
options,
most
so
of the
many bait
challenge ones.
options. Yeah.
So I also grew up fishing on lakes. My family had a piece of hillside basically on a lake in New Hampshire, and we would go up there, and that's kind of where I started fishing. So I fished in lakes, and eventually when I got a little older, my dad bought a used boat, and we went to we started fishing in the ocean where I lived in New Hampshire. It was beautiful place. I was very near the mountains and lakes region of New Hampshire, and also very near the ocean, so I could do either. But once I got into ocean fishing, I never went back to freshwater. I could not get enough of ocean
Bigger
fishing.
Bigger fish.
Bigger fish, man, and just the variety and I just love ocean fishing. So now that is pretty much why I moved to Florida, other than wanting to be warm instead of cold. Florida is, one of the fishing capitals of the world. The amount of game fish that inhabit these shores is greater than probably any place else in the U.S. And so that is one of the main reasons why I moved here. First thing I did was buy a boat, and
What's the name of your boat?
the digital infrastructure.
Oh.
love it.
No, it doesn't. It
Cyber-
doesn't have a
cybertelic
name. It
Yeah.
doesn't have a name.
Doesn't every boat have a name?
Every boat that's big. Mine's,
Oh, okay.
mine's not
Sorry.
mine's not very big.
Sorry.
But I do fish in the ocean. So I have a dock at my apartment, and I'm a couple miles from the Palm Beach Inlet, which is actually called the Lake Worth Inlet. And so I can be out and fishing, in 100 feet of water in 20 minutes from when I get home from work. So that's what I do. I fish in the ocean. Yes, deep sea fishing. Now here, or off Palm Beach anyway, it's very accessible, right? It gets deep fast. You can go right out of the inlet. You can be deep sea fishing. which also means everybody can go right out of the inlet and be deep sea fishing. So the amount of fishermen compared to the number of fish is not ideal. But I have caught every kind of fish I've ever dreamed of catching when I was a kid. I have caught them since I've been here.
Wow. It's so, the ocean fishing gives you a much bigger adrenaline rush. That's why
I'm into it.
once you get into
I
it,
love
it's hard to
yeah.
stop. It's like a drug.
I do still fish in the intercoastal, but usually in a kayak.
Mm-hmm.
How many people can fit on your boat?
Up to 6. If I was going fishing, I probably
Okay.
wouldn't take.
I think
we can
4 of us
we're
can go.
Owwll road trip, right?
Yeah, I hear a road trip in the works.
South Florida Tech Hub team.
So as far as baiting, what do you use? Squid, shrimp.
I do pretty much every kind of fishing there is to do offshore, and so it depends on the day. I call them the different missions: the big mission, the easy mission. Easy mission is like fishing on the bottom for snapper and grouper right off the beach, and that's something I can go out in the afternoon and do after work and watch the sunset, and maybe have an adult beverage or two, that kind of thing. But then there's the big missions where you get up early in the morning and you go way offshore, and you might be trolling or using live sardines or live what's called oh my goodness, I can't goggle eyes. Can't believe I almost forgot that. So you can use actually live, baits that are this big, and you put them on hooks and they swim around.
So trolling and fishing, those are two
trolling and live
online
baiting
terms.
Yeah, trolling and live baiting, and then ground fishing. So those are the 3 main ones. I also do what's called deep dropping, which means I have an electric reel and a car battery, and I go way out up to 15 miles, and I'll drop down 1,300 feet and catch fish on the bottom of that thing.
I think those posts on LinkedIn would do really great with engagement, like pictures of your catch.
They have, and that is something I have posted on LinkedIn when I catch really great fish. Doesn't happen, and then people are like, I want to go fishing with you, and I'm like, I posted that picture because that was like the best fish I caught this year.
Some people go golfing, some people go fishing.
I do both, by the way.
Have you taken business prospects out on your boat?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I have
there you go.
many times. Yep. Absolutely. And now they're my friends. I wonder why.
Yeah, those types of experiences, golfing and fishing, can be really, really bonding experiences.
Yeah, you got to connect with people, everyone wants to sell their product, of course, and I'm no different. But, if you want to make connections and that's your strategy for building your business, then you can't do it by, just pitching people when you meet them at a networking event. You gotta get to know them and try to develop a relationship. And the side benefit is you get friends. I mean, most of my friends now, since I've moved to Florida, are either coworkers or former coworkers or people who I've just networked with, like my band. My entire band, I would not know any of them if it wasn't for Tech Hub.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Such a great community.
South Florida Tech Hub.
So much fun stuff to do. So, if you're looking to move down to Florida, Jeb's your guy. When it comes to fishing, golfing, technology, he got you covered. Singing,
music.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fun guy.
Very fun. Those are all awesome things. My husband has like a checklist of fish that he hasn't caught, and he's hardcore too, like you. Like he loves all of that, and he's done the tuna fishing trips off of California, where you sleep in like a coffin like type of thing on those big boats.
Oh my goodness.
And anyway,
they have those
it made me think of
also.
He had a rooster fish on his like checklist for a long time, and him and his friends went to Panama last year on a fishing trip, actually. And
did he get one?
Yes, he did.
I went looking for rooster fish once upon a time in 2005 to Cabo San Lucas. Did not get one. Caught some cool fish, but didn't get one.
I gotta look that up. Rooster.
Do they call a rooster fish because it looks like a rooster?
I don't know.
No, it's because it's got these dorsal spines that sweep way back, kind of like the back of a rooster's neck.
Check it out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're really big and really good fighters. The only fish I've not caught here that I would like to, I don't really target them, but is marlin. But I mean, they're like
you got to go real deep for those, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they come in, but yeah, you gotta, my boat's not really big enough to run way offshore and troll around all day. So, but everything else I've caught.
Great. Well, we spoke about music, fishing. Anybody else have a question?
Let's call someone.
Yeah, let's call our community.
Jason, what about you? Should we call you?
Well, I'll mention this since we were talking about music and personal preferences. Um, I'm a big fan of Neil Young.
I do some Neil Young.
So much. We'll talk about that. So much so, there's a Grateful Dead, which I'm a fan of as well. LinkedIn professional group called.
Wow,
it's a
I've
g-
been to many Grateful Dead concerts.
All right. Well, you got to join. This is a great name. Not making this up. The name of the LinkedIn group for Grateful Dead is Deadheads with Ties.
Oh, that's funny.
I love that. So I thought.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello. Hi, Jeffrey.
Yes, we can
Susan. How are
hear
you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're great. Thanks for calling in. I'm
Oh, we
sorry.
called her.
I knew that.
We called
Thanks for taking the
you.
call.
Thanks for picking up.
How did I get this job?
You're on live. Is that okay?
Yes.
How are you, Susan? Tell us about yourself.
Well, I am a house coach. I work with women who are in midlife and older, and they're noticing changes in how they look and how they feel. And I help them to reclaim some of the health and the vitality that they had when they were younger. I'm also a podcaster. And so my podcast is all about health and wellness for a woman who's late 40s and older, and just talking a lot about alternative healing. Not, traditional take a pill and call me in the morning type thing. So that's what I do.
That's great. And where are you located, Susan?
I live in Bayside, New York.
Oh, okay. I'm a New Yorker too. Well, former New Yorker, native. I grew up in
Oh, where were you from?
I grew up in City Island in the Bronx.
Oh, yeah, we're not far from here. I've
Mhm.
never been to City Island, but I'm just on the other side of the Throgs Neck Bridge
Yes, I
in
know.
Queens.
I went
Yeah.
to high school in Throgs Neck and with J-Lo, by the way, another celeb.
Uh,
Wow.
oh,
Lots of
I'm
New
impressed.
Yorkers. Yeah. Yes. Well, so nice to meet you. It sounds like you're doing some really cool work, and I'll have to chat
Yeah.
with you offline because it's right in my demographic.
Okay. What is it that you do?
I have a marketing and public relations agency, and very much involved in the South Florida tech community. I came here in the late 90s, a long time ago from New York, but I still go back a lot because I have family there.
Where
And
do you live now?
I live in Juno Beach in North Palm, Florida.
Oh,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Very
yeah.
nice.
So, I don't know if you know this, but South Florida is where IBM, the personal computer, was born.
No.
So, yes, at the Boca Innovation Campus. So,
Oh,
when I first moved here, we had a lot of IBM spinoff clients, lots of clients in the tech space, and that's how I got involved in the tech world.
interesting. I just bought a townhouse or a condo, I guess you would call it, in Venice, Florida
Oh,
last
my
year.
mother-in-law's there. All these connections. Wow.
Oh, wow. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. We bought last year, and last winter was the first. So I'm a snowbird. I'm definitely a New Yorker, but we go down January, February, March. My partner, he's a big golfer. He's into golfing. I'm not. So he loves it there because
Well,
we're on
Jeb
a
is
golf
into
course.
golfing. Maybe he'll come and visit you guys in Venice with the boat.
Very nice. Very nice.
Very
So
cool.
Susan, how do you like Owwll App? How do you utilize it to connect with experts, and how's that experience?
Honestly, I just got started on it, and actually last week was my first week that I was on it, so I really haven't utilized it very much yet.
Well,
I've had some phone.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I had a couple of phone calls last week from some really great people, and I connected with one woman that we're actually planning to do a podcast episode together.
There you go.
She's going to come on, but I really haven't utilized it all that much, and I haven't had time to even play around with it to see what it's all about yet.
Well, you got lucky today. You're on a live show with Al,
Right.
so you'll definitely be getting more phone calls now since we have you on the big screen.
Yeah, and
Oh,
tell everybody how to reach you, what you're doing, and then Jeb here has a wealth of information about technology, so and music and golf actually, and fishing.
oh, okay. So my website is susanlopresti.com. Very easy, www.susanlopresti.com. And you can find my podcast on, all platforms, which is also Susan Lopresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul is the name of my podcast. And I could be reached by email at susan@susanlopresti.com. So I make it pretty easy to be found. And like I said, I work with women who are in their late 40s usually and older, who are just not feeling like themselves. A lot of women are struggling with menopause, and I help with that. A lot of women also are noticing gut issues, having very bad gut issues, and I help with that as well, which is actually the reason why I actually became a health coach. Was I was in my late 40s, gaining weight, feeling terrible, losing my hair. My skin was itchy as could be. And I was seeing doctors, and I was being told basically that it's normal for a woman your age to be experiencing these types of symptoms. And I was not getting any kind of answers. And I just couldn't accept that, because my mom, I didn't see her going through this when she was my age. And so I couldn't accept that. And I finally went to see a functional medicine doctor in New York City, and she completely changed my life. And so I started thinking about all the women out there who were in my shoes and being told it's natural to feel like this. You just need to learn to live with it. And, I just couldn't imagine where I would be if I would have accepted that as my new reality. And so my functional medicine doctor diagnosed me with celiac disease, which none of the other doctors talked about. I was being tested for my thyroid, but I fell in the normal range according to what they were telling me. And that was totally false, because I had Hashimoto's disease and an underactive thyroid. And she changed my life. She completely transformed my life, and I started feeling better. It took about a good 6 months to 9 months for me to start seeing changes, but I stuck with it, and I felt like a new person. And that's what motivated me to become a health coach, because I didn't want women to just accept that it's normal. I was only 44 at the time, where they were telling me that it's normal to feel like that. I was 40 pounds overweight. My
Wow.
knees hurt. My body was aching. I had migraine headaches all the time. I had terrible gut issues. I looked terrible. Like I said, my hair was falling out. My nails were brittle. And I was just being told it's normal.
I think it's so common for women of that age, because I hear it again and again, and with autoimmune conditions. And I don't think doctors are skilled. A functional medicine doctor, I think, is the way to go. And I'm glad that you found that, and it
Yes.
turned your pain into purpose. I have a couple of clients in that space too. And I think it's so important, because I think there's a huge gap. So I feel like what you're doing is really important work, Susan.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And so that's what I do. And my podcast is also talking about different ways of getting healthy. And, it's not just about medicine. It's definitely not about medicine. There's so much more to it. Of course, food and food and also exercise, but connection with people and
What's the
just
name
so
of your
many different.
What's the name of your podcast before? Because we only have 29 seconds left.
Sure, it's Susan Lopresti, Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul.
Love it. We're gonna check it out for sure.
Okay, great.
I
Thank
will.
you.
I don't know if these gentlemen will, but I'll check it out.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Susan.
so
my
much.
wife. I'll
Thank
tell
you,
my wife.
Susan.
Thank you.
Take good care. Thanks for the call.
Bye.
now.
you.
Speaking
Bye.
of podcasts, I think that Jeb here needs to start one because he's got the voice and the stories for it for sure.
Well, I am absolutely available.
Speechless.
I'm available if you have a podcast and you'd like to bring me on. But
So actually,
I have a name for it: trolling and fishing. Like
So-
the PH,
Yeah.
with the PH, yeah.
actually, a lot of Owwll members have their own podcasts. For those of you out there that would like an interesting guest, Jeb is available. So, why don't we do this? I think we've had a great show. Why don't we kind of go around the table? Any last thoughts, and then we'll close the show. So, Cindy, you go first.
Thank you. I was just going to say, just to piggyback on your point about so many people on the Owwll podcast, well, being on the Owwll app, being podcast hosts, I've met so many incredible podcast hosts, and as owning a PR agency, they've been invaluable. So it's been really cool. And I would also say, Jason has been at Podfest for many years, and I've gone there. Actually, I met Chella at Podfest. So many online relationships that you can take offline, and that's just a takeaway that I would say that meet these people here on this panel, and I would encourage everybody to take their online relationships offline.
That's a good one.
Dennis?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick plug for the South Florida Tech Hub. I moved to Florida about 3 years ago, and basically, Jeb, I had no connections, no network. I found South Florida Tech Hub. I started going to the events, meeting people offline, just bonding and building relationships. And I would say within a couple of years, I picked up some of the biggest clients, some of the biggest friends. It's been like a big happy family, South Florida Tech Hub. It's me being like a computer geek myself, with the technology and everything that comes with
Computer
it.
stud.
Yeah, computer stud.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but we won't go there.
Vivacious host.
There you go.
Lovely.
But yeah, anybody that's planning to either move to South Florida or is already here and looking for a great community to join, definitely check out South Florida Tech Hub and come visit us in person. Come meet us, and we're going to introduce you to the right audience and to the right networks.
Thank you, Dennis. Jeb?
Great.
Jeb?
And I want to take a little bit of credit for that. I think I met you at a chamber event the first time, I want to say. And we talked about Tech Hub. But anyway, my point is I love Tech Hub, and I talk about Tech Hub to everybody when I'm not talking about Centuric.
Or music.
Or fishing or golf or NFL football. I guess I could go on a little bit, but Tech Hub brought us all together, and it brought me together with at least like half of the people I call active friends, today. So it's just a great way to meet people, especially if you have any interest in the tech community. Even if you're a young person who is looking to, get into a career in tech. One of Tech Hub's main missions, if not, I think it's actually the main mission, is to promote the industry as a tech hub. And one of the most important aspects of that is filling in the talent funnel from the bottom, and training up these people coming out of college to work in the tech companies here and to stay here in Florida. So again, can't say enough about Tech Hub. If you want to find me, again, go to Centuric.com, CENTURIC.com, or find Centuric on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Jeb. So I want to thank Cindy for being a co-host today. Thank you, Dennis, for being a co-host. Thank you, Jeb, for being an outstanding guest. Thank you, Jason. Say hello, Jason, for everything that you do, including being active in Tech Hub. My day job is Director of Membership. So anybody out there that's not a member, I'm on the Owwll app. You can find me on LinkedIn. Happy to talk to you about that. per what Jeb just said, our Tech Talent Fest, which is aimed at job seekers, we did reschedule it. It was going to be tomorrow. I don't have the actual date, but stay tuned. Subscribe to our newsletter. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow us on Eventbrite. It is going to be next month. Tech Talent Fest. One other mention, our Ignite event for startups is going to be Thursday, November 14th, again at the Boca Raton Innovation Center. Eventbrite page should be up today. If not, reach out to me. Thank you, everyone, for watching live. Thank you if you're watching the replay. And tune in next week for another exciting adventure of Tech Tuesdays.
Thank you.
That's a good one. I like that. Thanks for calling.